You just bought a Finz FPV Fox frame and now you're wondering what's the best way to mount your stack on the frame. This is not a stupid question because the frame gives you a lot of possibilities. You can mount a 30 by 30 stack, 20 by 20 stack. You can use an all-in-one with 25.5 by 25.5 screw holes. But other than that, you can mix all these combinations and you can mount your stack from the bottom plate, from the top plate, and split it between the two plates. So as you can see, you have a lot of options. The best options for you is the one that makes you repair the quads easily and faster when you're at the field racing, and occasionally, and I hope not so much as me, you will crash on some structures, and so you have to do some considerations on how you mount the quad. The Fox FPV frame family is divided in two categories. We have the newest frames that are the Crucifix and Hyperfox, and those frames comes with braces for the canopy. The braces greatly improve the rigidity of the canopy and will protect your VTX better. But as you can see, the recommended way to mount your VTX will be with double-sided tape sticked to the top plate. This way of mounting the VTX is something that we learned from Hyper, and he was using this kind of configuration on the Crooked 2, and if it's good for him, it's good for us too. And the other group of frames is for the Fox Racing V1, the Crooked and the Fox Pro. Those frames are made differently because they have a canopy that's higher and that can accommodate for a VTX mounted with rubber grommets and with screws. And the plate doesn't have countersunk screw holes, so you have to be mindful of the screw head sticking from the bottom plate. For the Crooked and the other frame built like this, my recommendation is to mount the stack on the top plate. You will have a screw that grabs both the VTX, the FC and the ESC, and the ESC will be on the bottom of the frame. To me, it's important to flip the ESC, because if you're working on a motor and you need to desolder a motor, you will need to only detach the bottom plate, and you will have the pads for soldering the motor very accessible and easy to work on. On the other hand, if you're working with the Hyperfox and the Crucifix, having the countersunk screw holes, you can make your screw go from the bottom and mount your stack as you would on any other frame, with the ESC bottom flipped the standard way with the pads for soldering on the top, and the FC mounted over the ESC. For this configuration, you have the screws included in the frame kit, both on the Crucifix and Hyperfox, and the screws are the correct length for ESC and FC. This way, on the Crucifix and Hyperfox, you will only need to work on these 4 screws, remove the top plate, and you will be able to work on the stack and ESC without any problems, as you would do on any other frame. The only thing that I can recommend for this configuration is to find an FC that has a connector for the VTX, because this way you can remove the top plate easily and you will not have the wire from the FC to the VTX, limiting your movements on the FC. There's some difference between the Hyperfox and Crucifix, but we'll start with similarities. On both frames you have the mounting holes for the TBS new stacks, and then you have the 30 by 30 and 20 by 20 on the bottom plate. This is the bottom plate for the Hyperfox, and this is the bottom plate for the Crucifix. You can see here the mounting for the TBS stack, and then 30 by 30 and 20 by 20. Both the plates have the holes for 20 by 20 and 30 by 30 with countersunk holes, so it's really easy to mount your stack on the bottom side of the frame. If we switch to the top plate, you will see there is quite a difference, because the Hyperfox top plate doesn't have the countersunk screw on the 20 by 20, neither on the 30 by 30, and have the 25 by 25 hose, as you can see, for mounting an all-in-one. On the Crucifix, on the other hand, you still have the 20x20 mounting holes, but this time they're countersunk screw holes, so you can easily mount the stock from the top plate and still have the space to use the double-sided tape for the VTX. This choice has been made because if you mount your stock from the bottom, as I did on the Crucifix, you will see that the strap will not be aligned with the direction you're flying the frame. And some people prefer to mount the stock on the top plate using the countersunk screw holes and having more space for the strap in this direction. You will be able to use two straps if you're using your stock mounted on the top plate, and you will still have the space for the strap on this direction if you use a 30x30 stock. The only exception is the 20x20 from the bottom, like I did, but we've seen that it's not a problem to have the battery oriented this way, even though the flying direction will be this. If you're not comfortable with 20x20 hardware, it's not a problem because you can mount a 30x30 stock, and you can even use a 30x30 ESC with a 20x20 FC. I will show you an example on one of my crooked frames, and you can see that I have my VTX Race V3 HD0 on the top plate with the FC on the other side of the plate with nylon screws. And then I have my ESC mounted on the bottom plate, so that when I remove the top plate, I will only need to detach the ESC to FC cable, and I can work on both the FC and ESC without any problems. This is a cool way to mount your frame, and you can do the same thing on the Hyperfox and Crucifix because you have the screw holes on both the top and bottom plate. Other than that, there's some other things that you may consider when building the quad, some bonus tips that I can give you, and that's that you should wrap your motor cables on the bottom of your arm. And this is because when your prop will strike the frame, will not cut the motor wires that are protected on the bottom side of the frame. You have all the possibility you want with those frames, and I can't wait to hear how you mounted your stock on your frame and if you think that there's some smarter way to do it. I hope this video was helpful for you, and if it was, please subscribe to the official Finz FPV YouTube channel and follow us on our socials that are linked on the description of this video. Thanks for watching and see you at the race fields.